a little bit backed up. We see a very well-defined eye wall. And then before we get into how scary that looks, I'm going to take a peek over here. Um, there's drops on observations that come from the hurricane hunters, as well as other informations that, that will help us. I guess I must have closed it already. I shared it on my Facebook, so I'll go open that up. There's, I have the actual flight data. I finally found the links. This is some things that used to be embedded in the softwares at the news stations I would be working for, that now I'm having working independently. I'm going and finding all these things on my own. So I did today find a nice link that I shared. It must be Weather Woman here. My Weather Woman page on Facebook is where I'm putting most of this stuff. So that was the last forecasting, and here's where we see that the near Cat 5 has shown signs of downgrading. This is per the latest recon flight data, so I'm going to show you what that means. I applied to fly with these guys, by the way. I've seen these planes. I've met the people that fly into the hurricanes, and I applied. My husband's still in the military. It just what was available at the time didn't really jive with everything. So what we can do here, opening this, if you want to go find this link, go on to my Facebook any old time. It's in there. So Mission 24 and then Mission 25, they were done by different people. You can see there's different Hercules or Orion going at different times. I'm looking at the latest one. There's 2 aircraft alternating trips through here. So that will also help. Information you include, the different instruments is better for proper analysis. So these are wind barbs. I'm seeing that there was a 941 millibar in the last round, and that this is the plane flying out. So it took this path leaving here, and we saw these, not winds, these barbs here, these little, the triangles are 50 knots of wind. So 2 here indicates that there's 100, and this is higher up, not at the surface here. I would hope. Because if not, it's different. If they didn't fly again, so Last I saw, the strongest was 90 something. So I'm gonna go ahead and check this one and make sure it's still the same flight, because they could have gone again. But it was 25. Select observation above to view. That's not coming in now. How weird. I just posted this because, well, it was showing 99. It looked a little different. They could have possibly, yeah, still been in the air, because this was not the same. So darn it. It was looking better and better, and now it's not. As they continued flying through it. Uh-oh, check your head, they said. It's behind. You can't see what just popped up on my screen because of my face, but yeah. Check your head. They were still flying, so uh-oh, that's kind of a bummer. We're just going to have to get into the rest of it then, so these are closed for now. A bummer that, you know, they were getting slower winds, you know, recorded, and then as they continued flying through over and over, they were getting the stronger winds. So here we have 2 tornado warnings. Now, chasers are right here. So look at that. These storms are moving 60 miles an hour. I was just told, I just got off the phone with a group of chasers that I'm working with here on Lake Charles area. Now, a bunch of other chasers are on the scene there. They have Reed Timmer actually just showed up too. Like every single person. It'll be really interesting to see what happens here. They are in concrete structures. I'll show you where they are soon. And anybody here, you know, just... it should be evacuated. Just heed the warnings that, you know, there's tornadoes on the ground now heading toward Lake Charles area and Jennings at 60 miles per hour. Now, this area was all mandatory evacuated, not quite all the way to New Orleans, but most of these regions are already, most people are gone, or they are somewhere safe. And I hope that holds true. I know I saw tons of evacuations going on. So looking at specific wind speeds then otherwise, probably I'd like to go to the National Hurricane Center then and see what they posted last. Because yeah, there's some 150 miles per hour still is the latest information, and that was still from the 10 p.m. update. So Cat 4 nearing Cat 5. Cat 5 would be 157 miles per hour. So of course, you know, right behind it, I wanted to show you too, we do have another disturbance here building already. It probably will become something. So don't just wait for Laura to come and go and then forget to keep an eye on the weather if you're living anywhere in these zones along the Caribbean or into the Gulf. We'll have to wait and see. I do believe at this point, I will go ahead and say I think there's a good probability it could end up in the Gulf, just from what I've been looking at otherwise. So I'll take a peek, look and see if anybody has any questions. I did not share this into my Facebook yet, which is where most people see me. So, and then Kyle is live too. So since I'm screen sharing, I want to go see what he's doing while I set up my stuff. And in that case, I'll turn the tunes off. So check out Kyle's YouTube. He's Tornado Tackler on YouTube. And this is Kyle Cutton. He is a storm chaser that I just started working with out of Oklahoma. And now this is Hurricane Laura here. We're going to change that tag in just a moment. It was edited from his previous run over there in Texas. So here's where he's live from now. And I will go ahead and set up some watches here. See if anyone had specific questions on my other stuff. So he's just saying he's by Lake Charles, Louisiana. Since it's so windy, I don't want him to leave it up. So here's when I found out the warnings were there for sure. They got them confirmed there. One of the reasons why chasers are good to have over there, you know, a lot of research scientists, we'll call them citizen scientists, it is really good to have this information that they're gathering. Wow, even windy in there right now.
It almost feels like you're in Woodstock. Everyone's here for the Cat 5. Anyways, we're looking at a couple things here. Amy?
Hey.
You want to tell me? Can you hear me?
Oh, goodness. Look, this is the one we just did. That's it. I'll turn it down here. And I'm going to go ahead. And once I start forecasting here, I'll see. So we just ran this together.
You don't have any shit.
Since it's so windy.
Okay.
I don't know if I should leave it up. So, I do see somebody has some friends they're sharing things with that are in the Dallas area. So, yeah, I had quite a few friends in Houston and Dallas, and then in the northern parts of Louisiana that were curious as to what was going on. So that's the scene where they are out at Lake Charles at a nice sturdy place. Just so we know they're taken care of. And I want to take a look really close at the radar then now and take a real intense look at where the tornadoes can be forming next, because they can be also as far away as Dallas tonight. It's not exactly likely, but we'll see how things move. And there's a few ways to look for that, but oftentimes these more turbulent storms, and especially depending on how they're moving, and I mean turbulent by they have a lot more interior motion when we see these brighter colors. In this respect, you can look at the bottom right of the screen, the decibels here. Feeding back, what this means is larger material, larger raindrops when it's darker. So more intense is what that can mean. And so something tornadic, you know, this does not look to me, now some of these, this is not the best resolution. I could change this product a little to get better resolution, but the way it's moving, I wouldn't say doesn't look very tornadic. If this thing does have a tornado embedded, you know, some of these little loopy areas can cause them. But if so, it would be very short-lived, maybe even only in the upper levels, which is what we might be seeing with these tornadoes here. There were two tornadoes that were this direction, one right here and one right here, tornado warnings. Right now on the ground, heading toward Lake Charles, heading toward Jennings, just south of Jennings, moving at 60 miles per hour. Now one was already confirmed on the ground right here, should be tracking right around here. And with bodies of water, we can see changes in these tornadoes. But as for the entire production of it, it could still track at this part of the storm. When we're looking at these outer bands where the cursors, these little lines that pop up and move ahead of the storm, those are the ones really short, and they stay close to the ground. They go away really fast. They tend to be in this northeastern portion, this little square here, north and east of the eye wall. But then these ones that can come into these cells, they can be much stronger. So whatever's heading toward Lake Charles, it's nice that many people evacuated there, like I already said. So that's not going to be as bad. This is really a sad time right now. A 10 to 15 foot storm surge going on right now. Now I have some friends. One's on a boat here, so I could see what's going on with his storm surge now. Earlier in the day, like about 12 hours ago, there was already 4 feet. Pensacola Beach was getting it. And zooming out, Pensacola Beach is very far. So we're going to have a landfall very soon. I'd been predicting right along the border and, asked them to go to Lake Charles. They started off with Beaumont. But, I kept thinking Lake Charles was better. And there's the oscillations now that we see when they get close to landfall. There's back and forth movement. When they get close to a turning point, there's also, I've noticed, extra oscillations and back and forth movements. So there's still a chance here that we see a couple more pushes to the west, but not much. At this point, there's been a lot of north, and there's been enough of a little bit of east that we're probably going to be seeing a turn pretty soon. And then one other indicator for turns. I will open up. I think I still don't have it, but it's water vapor imagery from the upper levels. One of my favorite things during hurricane forecasting to use water vapor loop for the Gulf of Mexico here. And this is starting out with the upper level bands. This is high up, so we're looking at like what could be jet levels, and these can help steer. They can also help push in dry air. Dry would be yellow and blue, and that's going to help deteriorate the storm, evaporate the water, and just burn up the fuel basically. But in this case, there's been a lot of what are called height rises in the atmosphere. Things instead are just pushing, making way for Laura to move in. And then at this point, I'm starting to see a little bit of a divergence here between here. Whereas earlier in the last couple of days, if you look at my previous forecast, I remember this being a little more smooth. So to me, that says they're fighting now, basically. Here's Laura, and here's that dry air mass, and the dry air kept giving way, and finally it's like, no, I had enough, Laura. So pretty soon here we'll start seeing that eastward push. So it's amazing. Everybody went right to Lake Charles. I'm really grateful that when the storm was here, I had that track out, and so it's playing out. You can't be right all the time, but I do want to get better and better to help people stay safe and be prepared. Now, I thought there'd be a major hurricane, but goodness gracious, I was really hoping it wouldn't be a Category 4, and it is. So I'm going to look at a couple other things, just kind of dissect whether or not we're going to see it loosen up any, but I don't think it's really going to weaken until it makes the landfall, and we'll see hurricane force gusts all the way into Arkansas, I believe. Sustained wind speeds could be tropical storm force all the way through Arkansas. So this is bad. Now, at the lower levels, it's not bad if you're prepared. So yeah, I don't want to make it sound like a negative thing. Nobody wants anything to fall on their home, but we can always plan and prepare. What I did as a homeowner in Florida, there are plenty of tornadoes around me. I chopped down the pine tree because it's a taproot. It falls easily. I kept the oaks and I kept them trimmed properly at the right times of the year so that they would hold strong. And if something broke, it wasn't likely to damage my home or hurt anybody or our cars. So just we can think ahead on those things. Ask questions if you have any, share comments and tips if you have those too. So the low levels, back to forecasting. This is the dry air at the low levels. Much less clouds there, a lot more dry air to get into Laura. This is a good sign. Of course, with all this moisture here, it's not going to do much. It's just nice to know that there's another variable here available that's going to keep it from getting any bigger before landfall. I had some people thinking maybe a Cat 5, and that was absolutely not out of the question, but I'm very happy that we haven't quite seen that yet. Now it's so borderline. Perhaps, we'll pull out some data later that shows that it was, but at this point, I don't see that that has happened anywhere. And model playing out, they get very accurate by this time. So here we go. This is the European, and then I'm going to go through the other ones. Showing 124 miles per hour, that's category 3. 116, category 3. It's so sad. Yeah, I was earlier today just like on Google Earth. I wonder if it's open still. No. But my Google Earth, zooming in, you can see their homes and communities, and it's just, it's sad because now I'm going to open up the gusts, and there you go. I mean, this is just, they said an unsurvivable storm. This one was not for the blockbuster hits. I mean, that's what's happening. And to be honest, this particular model tends to underestimate winds. So that's not good. So we'll hop into the NAM. Of course, like I said, at this time, they're much more accurate. Now the NAM shows, this is gusts still, totally different story. I mean, could you imagine this or that? So I believe that has probably something to do with spatial resolution too. But then the core here would show Cat 4 and GFS model. So there's 3 available here, easily to use, and we can see this one's resolution is not as precise, meaning that there's bigger averages and a larger margin of error embedded in the data computations. So 107, yeah, I would go ahead. Usually this one's my favorite. Normally underestimates, but seeing that the NAM is so much lower, I believe it'll be somewhere in the middle here. And then we can always keep an eye on what the reconnaissance team is pumping out. Maybe even now it's a little different if I open that again. And then there's also the National Weather Service, of course, their Hurricane Center. So maybe refresh this, maybe it'll come up. No, how strange. It did definitely change. So, yeah, I'll give up on that mission for now. Refresh tornadoes and just see if anything else popped up that should be warned of before I end up going or looking at any questions. And again, with these Facebook, I tend to get more questions, but here I haven't shared this anywhere, so feel free to add questions into the comments later, and I can answer them there after I end up sharing this. Looks like another one now. Okay, so yeah, there's more action. So this is like, they're going to be the stronger ones now that it's actually pushing on. It's going to get worse before it gets better here. So more and more tornadoes going right over these guys on the concrete structures. There's plenty of well-trained people. There's also plenty of first responders, and many of the people there have those capabilities of themselves too. So it's going to be a wild ride, and I'm excited to see what happens here with the storm chasers, and I'm just happy people are out of there. I would cross my fingers people can return to their homes, but unfortunately, with what's going on here, it's going to be a sad one. I feel like I should open up a surge graph first here before I go. I might have one available here. Some sort of surge information, peak surges. How is this looking? Now, I wonder when this was last updated, because it seems a little odd that these would be also included, unless it has to do with rainfall. Otherwise, the winds would normally pull out there. But if this was put up before, August 26th, yeah, that was from 10 p.m. It could be just a tad outdated with what they thought the landfall was, but still, yes, 10 to 15 feet, 15 to 20 where they are. So that's what's been a probable estimate for a little while here. And then moving all the way inland, this is just flat land for so far. So we're going to be seeing some flooding all along the bottom portions here in many of these areas. And there was tree damage down here. I had a large tree that was a photo sent to me today that had been broken in half from the wind, and that was way early this morning. So it's an unfortunate event, and I am just happy that there's so many people with the availability, technology has given us this opportunity to forecast and provide people with very accurate. It was amazing how accurate these forecasts have been too. I don't check too many forecasts tracks from the models until it gets to about a day out. But from what I saw, 2-3 days out, they all seemed very, very similar around here where I was thinking. So this is a good sign for people's safety. And I think that should be it. I'll see no questions, and I didn't share this yet anywhere else, so I'll probably just sign off if nobody wants to ask anything in the comments and wrap it up. Feel free to comment later if you have questions, or go ahead and follow me on Facebook at Weather Woman, and you can also get my updates there. So have a nice day, and that's what that looks like if you want to see. And I'll keep these behind so it's easy to see what I'm doing with my forecast. And perhaps they have questions about this since it's open. I'll see, because I'm going to share this soon. He says it is a Cat 5 now. Ooh, where did you get that info? I was just looking. So back to National Hurricane Center, they would normally always say that sort of thing right away. And if I don't see any other update, so maybe there was another product he saw that showed something, maybe a model product. It's not quite verified at this point yet. We'll go keep seeing what happens with the hurricane hunters and the updates here on the National Hurricane Center that are already vetted and checked. So that'll wrap it up for today, unless maybe he went ahead and gave me a link already. That'd be pretty fast. So there it goes. He's a quick one. New recon. Oh, do you have a link? I have it below, but it won't show up anymore. Yeah, and I can just try again. So this is the one that should allow me to check every single one. So I mean, you should be able to go on to my page here and use this. So the missions are maybe going to be 25 is the latest one that he's talking about. See if it appears any different. So there we go. Yes, they finished it. Oh my gosh. Yes, you're right. I'm going to share with him too now just to say got it. And here we go. It is working again. Thank you. Goodness, what a sad day though. I'm thanking someone, but I'm not exactly happy about this. So, I don't even want to read these numbers. I'm just, okay, I was hoping that something was wrong, and I just wanted to wait till I could confirm this. But yeah, so we're going to have different levels here, and some of this, but because I'm new to these graphs, I do believe all of this data is from the surface right here that we're seeing. They do observe different levels and list it out in text that I could open later, but it's not as easy to share as this. So what we're seeing here are these little triangles, again, are 50 knots of wind, which is 1.15. If you want to times that by 1.15, then you'll get what it is in miles per hour. So 100 knots here would be 115 miles per hour. Getting closer to the core, what they do is they go through, they go out, and they check the outs, go and loop around different ways. So the very strongest wind is what I want to find. Looking like this one has 3 legs, this one has 3.5, this one has 4, but just 1 barb. Okay, so 2 and, looks like 2 and 4 here. 2 and 3 is the highest. Coming in here, so the northeast quadrant is usually the strongest. Here we go. So there's 2 of the triangles and 4 of the lines. That's indicating 140 knots of wind. That should be about 160 miles per hour. Yeah, that's a category 5. I think he just told me 158. That's really sad. Sad time. So there's good, there's bad. It's Mother Nature. You know, hurricanes do a lot of good. There's the raw data that they capture at the different levels I was talking about, different atmospheric heights. So something that's not talked about a lot, I thought might be worth mentioning sometimes is, I don't need these ones. It's so sad. It's hard to say, so I wanted to make a video on this because it's kind of hard to talk about when you're in the middle of something so severe, so scary, so life-threatening. How do you find good in that? But, you know, hurricanes, they have quite a bit